What's up, everybody? This is Dominic here talking about today's General Hospital. Before I talk about today's episode, I will say this last couple of weeks, maybe the last couple of 2 weeks, these last couple of weeks episodes have been pretty good. I mean, I've been pretty much mainly last week. I really pretty much enjoyed most of last week's episode. With this, give or take a couple of storylines, but for the most part, I pretty much enjoyed last week's episodes. But today's episode, I will say, today's episode was kind of fun. It was a real fun episode to watch. Let me talk about. Well, I'm talking about the whole karaoke stuff. That's stuff I really want to talk about. I really want to talk about the karaoke night and the whole Mac and Felicia and their wedding party and whatnot. Let me talk about it. Get this whole Britt, Sabrina stuff out of the way. I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm just over it. I'm ready for it to be over. I'm ready for Britt to tell Patrick. I thought she was gonna tell her today because she was sitting there. She had some pains. She actually had some pains or whatnot, and her and Patrick basically just sonogram on, and they figured out they were having a boy. And like I've been saying, we all know that baby's not Patrick. We all know it's probably not even Britt's baby. It's probably one of Lulu and Dante's rotten eggs. And that we also know that we pretty much know that Patrick's probably gonna be devastated when he's found out, because he already tell he loves the baby because he thinks the baby is his and whatnot. But I'm gonna tell you some shit I don't like. Sabrina, I want her and Felix. Basically, I want Felix and Sabrina to find a new hobby. And I don't want Felix to find another purpose on this show, as opposed to being all up in Patrick and Sabrina business. I need Felix to find another purpose on this show, because my humble opinion, he has no freaking purpose on this show but to be all up in Patrick and Sabrina's business. I mean, I know they claim he's a good friend and whatnot, but I'm gonna tell you, I would be if I had a friend like that, I wouldn't be all up in her relationship business. I'd be trying to find. Actually, if me and somebody like Sabrina were friends, I'd be trying to get with Sabrina. Personally, I know Felix is gay, but me personally, I'd be trying to hook up with Sabrina. Damn, Patrick, I'd be trying to hook up with Sabrina myself. But anyway, but yeah, I'm just over this whole Sabrina stuff. Sabrina need to go sit her ass down. Sabrina acting like a damn 16-year-old high school kid. This is what she's acting like in this whole situation. She just knows, without any kind of proof, she just knows Britt's up to no good. She knows Britt's the reason Patrick is late for Mac and Felicia's wedding party and whatnot. She just knows that, without any proof, she just knows. And she just kept constantly calling the dude, calling him over and over. And then she ups and leave. Her little ditz herself gonna up and leave. She gonna up and leave the party. Just basically gonna find Patrick. She said she basically had enough. She's gonna go find Patrick. And I'm like, Sabrina, go sit your ass there. I've really had it with this character. I'm sorry. She's just too upright, just too goody two shoes in my opinion. I liked the character at first, but now I'm just over the character. And that's why Sabrina had a lot of potential with Milo and whatnot. They had a lot of potential with some potential Milo pairing. But I just can't get into a Patrick and Sabrina pairing, because their whole relationship is surrounded around Britt. Seriously, it's surrounded around Britt. Their whole relationship, since the two met, her whole purpose is basically to get back at Britt, is to take down Britt and whatnot. And I'm just over all that. Now let's talk about, Ellie. I actually, in a way, forgot Ellie kind of even existed in a way, because we hadn't seen her in so long. But she was at the party today. She basically was getting into the business, because getting into all the business, but Spinelli and Felix and Sabrina was talking about, and they were sitting there looking up stuff about Dr. Obrick and whatnot, and they basically figured out that Dr. Obrick's, they figured out yesterday that her real name is Lisa Westbourne, and she just basically changed her name to Dr. Obrick to basically. Anyway, she basically changed her name to Dr. Obrick. And anyway, but yeah, now I wasn't really here for the Ellie stuff today. Ellie basically was getting, we all know she knows about the truth about Max's baby and whatnot. She basically was, and they actually noticed that there was a little tension between her and Maxie, because they were having karaoke and whatnot. Let me transition to the karaoke night. I can say that was pretty funny, but that was hilarious in a way. But they were having karaoke night, and Maxie and Spinelli was getting all hype and whatnot because that's something he and Maxie like shared at one point. He remember like back in the day when they had Coleman had that karaoke night back in the day, like a couple of years ago. It wasn't that back in the day. It was just a couple. It wasn't that back in the day, but it was a couple of years ago. They had a karaoke night at the Floating Rib and Maxie and Spinelli. It was really basically it has something to do with Maxie and Spinelli's fake wedding and whatnot, and he basically was telling Ellie that's something that they cherish and whatnot. And Ellie basically, in a way, she just seems like she's just trying to compete with Maxie, constantly trying to compete with Maxie, and she basically knows she's probably not going to give Spinelli a baby. She wants to give Spinelli a baby, but she's not. The only reason she wants to give him a baby is because they didn't talk about this on today's episode. This is how I feel about it. The only reason she now wants to give Spinelli a baby is because she knows that Maxie is truly pregnant with Spinelli's baby, and she knows that when Spinelli finds out, she's going to lose him. And like I said, I really don't see the purpose. I mean, I like the actress. She seems pretty. She seems like a nice person. She actually is a pretty good actress. But I really don't see see a point for Ellie when all this stuff comes out. We know Spinelli's probably going to drop her, but I really don't see a point, the purpose of Ellie after all this baby stuff comes out. But anyway, now let's talk about more about this karaoke night. So Mac and Felicia come into the Floating Rib, and they basically get surprised and whatnot. And then Maxie gets up there and sings. She starts singing that song, like going to the chapel. We're going to get married and whatnot. That was pretty fun to see. You know, Mac and Felicia got up there and started singing. That was a good moment right there. And then Dante and Lulu got up there and sung. And I'm gonna tell you something, Dante, don't quit your day job. You're not that great a detective, but you're not also, you suck as a singer. And I know it's supposed to be for fun, but Dante, don't quit your day job. But anyway, he and Lulu up here singing a song, they singing something like a song called "You Having My Baby" and whatnot. When they said "You Having My Baby," I thought they was gonna sing that old Jodeci song "Forever My Lady." You know the first song they said something like "So You Having My Baby" or something like that. I thought they were gonna sing Jodeci for "Forever My Lady." And if they would have did that, I would have died. But anyway, and then Duke and Anna constantly keep trying to toast away. They were just trying to rush and trying to get the toast away. Toast Mac and Felicia and whatnot because they are best man and matron of honor. Well, maid of honor and best man, I think they're one of them. I know Duke's best man. I think Anna's like maid of honor or something like that. But anyway, but yeah, they kept constantly trying to toast to the couple and whatnot, and then Dr. Obrick, she basically puts propofol into one of the champagne glasses, and I knew this was gonna happen because I read it, but I knew this was gonna happen, but I want to see how it all was gonna play out. She kept constantly trying to get basically kept kind of anxiously waiting for Anna to drink it, but anyway. It was actually kind of fun to see Dr. Obrick up there singing too. And while Dr. Obrick was singing, Lucy and Kevin throughout this whole episode were having like marital problems and whatnot. Lucy was basically sitting there telling Kevin how he's always gone and whatnot, how he's always his patience with him. It's never about her, it's always his patience. I'm like, well, Lucy, that's kind of his job, true enough, but from what I hear what his patience is, Lucy's gonna be pretty much relieved about that, but when I hear when it eventually comes out who one of his patients is, who he keeps going back to Seattle to see. Anyway, but yeah, I'm trying not to spoil that. You probably are. Some of you will probably already know, but I'm trying not to spoil that. I'm trying to step back on spoiling stuff. But anyway, but yeah, Lucy and Kevin kept constantly arguing throughout the episode. They were basically Kevin trying to figure out. Kevin brought up vampires and whatnot, and he basically brought up vampires, and Lucy basically saying how Lucy was basically saying how she is basically trying to forget about the whole vampire stuff. And I'm like, and there was a lot of mention of vampires in this storyline. They better not be bringing that shit back. There was a lot of mentions of vampires in this episode. Anyway, all of that basically was. And it was kind of funny seeing Luke. It was kind of funny seeing Lucy just barge in when Duke and Anna were about to toast to Mac and Felicia. Lucy just barged in. That's why I like Lucy. She just basically barged in, yelling at Kevin and whatnot. And but anyway, so Lucy's sitting there talking. Lucy's talking to Felix about her and Kevin can communicate more, how they can fix their marriage and whatnot. And Felix basically suggests that they actually go to go out of town, go on a vacation, and basically sex it up and whatnot. Basically, be with each other. But anyway, but yeah, um, and Kevin says he comes up with he sees him seeing her talking to Mac and Felicia, and he basically comes up with an idea, and he and Mac basically go backstage and dress up and drag. Cause it was a storyline back in the day when they dressed up as Norma and Eve. It was kind of a storyline back in the day where Lucy was in this like some little organization or something, and Kevin wanted to crash it, and he and Mac dressed it up some little women's organization and whatnot, and he and Kevin wanted to crash it, so Mac and Kevin wanted to crash it, so they basically dressed up and drag and whatnot. But that was pretty funny to see. I didn't really care to see. I don't really care. I don't really like looking at guys in drag, but hey, it was kind of funny to see. I mean, two straight guys in drag. That was actually kind of funny. But anyway, that's really about all that happened on today's episode. Duke was the one that drunk out of Anna's it turns out he was the one that drunk out of Anna's glass, and Dr. Ober, he runs into Dr. Ober. He sees Dr. Ober, and it's basically about to get ready to turn her in, and he just out of nowhere just passes out. So from what I understand, from what I'm guessing, I haven't heard any spoilers or anything, but from what I understand, Duke's probably gonna go into a coma. This is just me predicting. He's probably gonna go into a coma, just like Robert. Cause didn't Dr. Ober like shoot Robert up with something like that, with propofol or something like that? But anyway, that's kind of all that really happened on today's episode. It was just a fun episode. But anyway, let's see. I can't wait for tomorrow's episode. I'm ready to see what they're gonna say about Duke, and actually I'm looking forward to the Ava and Julian stuff. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, let me know how you guys feel about today's episode. Leave me a comment below, and I'll try to get back at you. But anyway, this is Dominic checking out. Peace, God bless, and I'm out.